folks, and welcome to my top 200 games of all time. We are on number 160. Let's get down to it. It is Pay Dirt. Oh, I've had Pay Dirt in my collection for so many years now. It was at one point a top 20 game. I like this little game where it's an auction game where you're auctioning for trying to get new land, better equipment, and workers. You need all of these. Never forget land. Land is the one you always forget about, or I always forget about, because you want workers. That's more actions you can do in the game, more chance you have to move that soil and shift through it and get the gold, and then take them, sell the gold for money, which is what you need to get more equipment and whatever to shift through it faster or better, or you get side equipment too. But at the same time, if you run out of land tiles, you got nothing to drill on or nothing to dig through, and you're going to be losing really quick. Game has an excellent catch-up mechanism where last place or first place picks last on one bad thing that happens to everyone. And so you're trying to find this thing that doesn't impact you that much. And also the thing that impacts the first player a lot, because whatever degrees, it's always -1, -2, -3 degrees on the card. You give that card to that player, and the tracker will go down when the winter time hits and it gets to 0. Then the game is over. The land is frozen. You can't dig in anymore. So it's very thematic in a way too. But there's a lot of strategy, and this is where people kind of miss the idea of this game lately. It's slid over the past few years. I've had it for years, but also I am winning buku now because people are not knowing how to play the game. You've got to give something that will hurt that first player, or they'll run away with it. A lot of people are like, "Oh no, I don't want to take that. That's bad for me." Yeah, but the other one, it cripples me. You should play that on me, and they don't. Or sometimes if I'm not first, I'll give a player a card that's -3 degrees. Why? Because it'll speed up the game. Or maybe 1 degree, because it'll slow down the game. I won't even look at what the bad thing is. It may not even impact them at all. Ooh, they can't sell gold this round. Maybe they didn't have any gold to sell. Who knows? And that's the thing. You can't hoard too much gold, or you'll always be stuck getting the bad, thing, or supposedly the last bad event card in that round. This game, I have all the little extra modules too. It's just extra stuff you can bid on and stuff. And it's such a fun game. I heard the creator of this game lived in Phoenix, and when I was working there for a couple of years, I tried to find someone who knew where he was because I wanted to shake his hands, because as far as I know, this is the only game he ever made, and it's just still today, I'm still enjoying this game. Secondhand, you can get this game really cheap. It is a fun game to play, but make sure they know how to stick it to first player, because if you don't, I'm just going to run away with it, which is what I do a lot of the time. But it is a super fun game, like an auction game, really, that turns into kind of an engine builder as you're winning different things. But so much fun. Pay Dirt, my number 160. Hey, let's bring Queen Games back into this, shall we? Zen Garden, finally going down in price. It was way overpriced when I reviewed it back in the day, but I had to get it because it's Queen Games. There are some guys, they don't play with me anymore, but this was one of their top 5 games, I think, in my collection that they always want to play with Zen Garden. You play with all the modules. That's the only way to play the game. Don't play the willy-nilly easy version. You play with everything, because then as you randomly bring out tokens every game, ways to score it can be so different by the path. You're making these 4 Zen Gardens, and depending on what color the path is, what type of road it is it dirt? Is it wood? Is it gravel? Or, or the types of colors that match up, or the types of symbols on those colors. There's so many different options in the way you score. And every time you play the game, you're going to put out different tiles. So the ways you score are differently, and you really don't have an idea of who's going to win this game until it's over and you're counting up points. But it is so wonderful to see as you're trying to get these points, trying to conserve your money. Money's really tight in this game. The tiles on the bottom are cheap. The tiles at the top are really expensive, but sometimes you really want that one. You can't wait. It's like a Dutch auction. If you wait too late, then maybe another player will pick it up, especially if you and another player are looking at the same thing. It's best to avoid. I always try to avoid, so I'll ditch a strategy if I see that 2 other people are going for the same things. I'm like, I'm not going to race against anyone. I want to go for the tiles everyone's discarding. That's the ones I'm going for, because that means I won't have any fight over it. But it is a super fun game, and now that's gone down in price, I can definitely recommend it. Zen Garden, excellent game. Number 158 is Cinque Terre. It is a nice pick-up and deliver game that is sadly out of print. Everyone wants this game to come back. I want this game to come back in print, even though I already have it. I think this is such a smart game because you can make some quick money by making some quick deliveries to the towns, but after a while, once you've delivered X amount of goods to the town, you're shut out. You can't sell anymore. And the real power in this, and not many people understand this, first-time players don't, is in selling those and meeting those contracts. Meaning those contracts won't always give you the biggest points, but as the game goes around, you're really going to be steamrolling it, because they'll make those quick points at the very beginning, and then they're locked out of the best town to sell their goods. And now they got to sell these little piddly towns, which aren't worth much, where you've established contracts here and there, and you just start really just creaming them at the end. I've seen that happen to new players all the time, but such a simple game, yet with tons of strategy to it, tons of strategy. So wonderful, so wonderful. I do wish that this would come into print because right now I cannot recommend it because I think it's cost a pretty penny. But Cinque Terre, excellent game. My number 157 is a game I see for cheap everywhere, and I think it's excellent. It's called Valletta. Valletta is it's a deck builder in a way as you're playing these cards to get resources, to use those resources to buy buildings. But the buildings, on top of giving you victory points, come with additional cards you can add to your deck. Okay, and of course you're trying to clean out your deck too. You're trying to fire people from your deck to kind of glean. What's it called? I can't remember right now. But anyway, you're trying to burn through some of the cards in your deck. Cull your deck. There it is. I knew the word would come to me. You're trying to cull your deck. And at the same time, you're trying to you want to get buildings for victory points, but also it's random what cards go on what building points. Because sometimes, and my nephew's really smart at this game, I go for just points, but he looks at the cards and going, that card plus that card would be a great combo. What's another card? Oh, that would complement that. Let me get these three buildings. Even though they don't score that many points, I'm gonna have some really powerful cards and make some bigger actions to buy more smaller buildings to beat Matt. There's also in certain areas where Jean Vallette is, if you build in his area, you'll get extra points too. So I'm really just follow Vallette as he's kind of an in-game marker too, as he's going across the board, making some of these buildings a little bit more expensive. I'm just buying them up as way I can, but I'm not getting cards that are matching me right. You got to think about both ends, the victory points and the cards you need and what you're going to do with them too. And my nephew's really good at this game. I've had some really close games too with this game. Again, another game I see for $20 or less that I think is a steal. I think it is a steal. I really, really enjoy this game. Valletta, my number 157. 156, sadly, only came out in Borto Box, board, an annual board game a month or whatever subscription. It never came out retail. And I think, I think it's excellent. 156 is Boss Burger, or Burger Ball, excuse me. It's in the shape of a hamburger. The game is. And basically, it's just nice placement. As you're collecting certain ingredients to make the burgers requested by customer cards that come out every round to get victory points. At first, you'll be lucky. Actually, in the first round, you'll be lucky if you can serve one customer. And usually no one serves anyone. It's just so hard to get started. And at the end of the game, you're like, are there any more customers in the deck? Can we just bring them all out? Because I have enough burgers for everyone. I love that. I love that. Again, it's nothing new, but thematically, it's just so much fun to play. And I'm so sorry that this game never came out retail because I think it would have caught on. I think it would have had like a little niche audience who enjoyed it, But anyway, Burger Boss is great. I don't know how you can find a copy of this game, but if you do and it's decently priced, then go ahead and get it. Super fun game. All right, so my number 155 has been in my collection forever. I love this designer, even though I cannot say his last name, Benjamin Griffith. But whenever he makes a game, I am interested because this is the first game that really caught my attention with him. Livingstone, which is super cheap. This is another game you can get for $10. Is just a mix of different things. It's dice selection. It's drawing crystals from a bag they can give you coin or sometimes victory points. And that's kind of similar to Quartz, another game I used to have in my collection. I don't anymore because it was kind of one note. And this game kind of scratched that itch. You also have that, you have area control by where you place tents. You can also cash in if you don't have any high dice. You can get a low dice to get a card, and a card can maybe give you some bonus actions too, making certain things cheaper or certain actions free or screwing over other players. You have other actions in the game. Oh, at the end of the game, whoever doesn't pay the least amount of money to the queen, they die, which I think is awesome. It's kind of like that Cleopatra in the Society of Architects feel too. So he just basically copied, in a way, a lot of things that I like from other board games and put it all in one neat little package game that is super cheap to get and super fun. No one ever talks about this game. And it's so cheap. And I just think it's just one of those games. It's just, I think it's mid. It's definitely midweight, maybe even a little bit more because there's so much going on. And then even in your dice selection, you may never get a dice of equal or greater value. So you go, a lower value, equal or lower value. So you want to start low, but man, oh man, if I don't get one of those fives, I'm screwed. So let me just go ahead and jump to 5. That means the only dice I can get is 6 on my next turn, unless someone behind me goes, no, I want that 6. And so you can end up, but maybe the person who's taking the time got a 1, 2, 3, and 4. So they got 4 actions that turn, a little bit growing in strength. You got 2 big actions, and they really kind of balance out. And of course, depending on what you're using those dice for, can maybe give you even more points than before. But the game is super smart, super cheap. What are you waiting for? Go out and get a copy. All right, number 154 is the first time. It barely hung on to my top 100 last year. And this year, it has fallen now. It's Food Chain Magnate. And I'll tell you, I love this game by Splotter. It's just such a great game because you are, in a way, deck building as you're creating this pyramid and chain and trying to advertise, get burgers, Cokes, beer, lemonade, pizza, whatever you specialize in. I have the catch-up mechanism, which adds more cards, more characters, more first-time goals. And boy, this thing is a table hog. And that's the biggest thing about it because the setup for this game is honestly 30 minutes. probably, because as you're setting everything, I got the little accordion that kind of helps me do it, but getting everything set up and going over the rules with everyone, and there's just being so many cards and so many options, especially with the catch-up mechanism. The game is so humongous now. It's usually the only game we play at night when we play it. Only played it once this year for the first time ever. I only played it once. I do love it, but it's kind of grown a little bit more. And I do like the extra strategies. Even though the catch-up mechanism adds so much to the game, it adds good stuff to the game. But it does really hurt my friends with AP. It does kind of hurt which kind of role they want. And now we've played enough to where they can kind of understand where they're going. But at the same time, the thing, and that's not really a problem. Their AP really didn't affect them now because we played it so much in the past. But for me, it's just all the massive, and then keeping it with all the first times, and saying, oh, wait, you should have gotten that on the last round. Oh, well, because there's so many now. And I know they give you a menu item that you can check off. I even have the little dry erase boards because I thought that'd make it easier. We don't even use those because it didn't, because some people forgot to mark it off and they still thought it was available. The game is just a beast to play. And like I said, it takes up an entire table, entire 6-person table. I can take up the whole table with cards everywhere. And that's why I got the accordion little card holder to hold that. It saves a good amount of space. But even those first-time cards, gold cards, there's so many of them now. It just takes forever to put everything out, to put everything in place, get the starting money out and stuff like that. I wish it was easier. Now, this game is getting a reprint. It's getting a nice deluxe edition, which I don't know. I'm weighing on whether I want it. I think I'm happy with the copy I have. I don't need to get another one. But yeah, that's why it finally dropped. It was slowly dropping with new games, but new games with a mix of, oh my gosh, setup and put up takes another half hour. So just because of that, it probably fell a little bit on my list this year, but that's okay. Still a fun game. A game that anyone in my gaming group would play. Number 153 is like a little quick game, pocket game, Deep Sea Adventure. You should get it. It's really cheap now. I love this game as you're going down a submarine. It's kind of push your luck as you're gathering treasure, but you're sucking up air, so you need to make sure not to get too much treasure because that makes you burn more air. And I will never win this game. I don't think I've ever won this game. I don't think I've ever scored. I get so greedy. And that's the thing. You all want to kind of work together at first, but the greediest person is going to win, usually, if they're quick about it. And I'm never quick about it. And we actually play, I think it's 3 rounds of the game. We play 4 because I'm not going to win the game. I just love playing it. So it's just a really fun game. My buddy got me the little promo die. I will always play with that. It gives you extra advantages to hopefully help you get treasure. I still haven't brought any treasure up, but I'll never play without it. Do you need the die? No, I think the base game's fine, but because most people have self-control, which is what I don't when I play this game. But Deep Sea Adventure is just really, really good. Great game. They have a lot of those little small pocket games. And I played a few of them, and a lot of them are okay. But this one is the one that after I played it, I was like, I got to get a copy. This is excellent. All right, number 152 has been in my collection forever. I think last year was the first year it's been dropped down my top 100, and just new games keep pushing it down. But still, Coal Baron, great game, out of print. You can buy the crappy card game that no one wants for like a penny. But I don't know why they make a card game of an out of print game instead of just make the game again. But it's like an auction game where you're trying to give your best auction. You got your auction with cubes, but someone can auction more cubes and then move your cubes out of play. You don't get them back. So you need to make sure it's your best option or have extra cubes in reserve to make a bidding war against something. And you're bidding for cash to buy coal. So you're buying coal trains, you're buying contracts, you're buying delivery methods for those contracts, you're buying action. All of these spaces are very important to get. You can't win them all, but you definitely want to win the right, pick 1 or 2 that you definitely need to win and stick to it. Sometimes you can sneak away by getting a lot of stuff and no one realizing it. Like you didn't go for the highest money amount, but you got the other 3 and no one knew that. You ended up making more money than the first player. And I've done that before. I stole like 3. Everyone was fighting over the top action spot because you won a lot of actions. I won the other 3 action auctions, and I had more actions than the other guy. And that sucks if you can't get actions. You really need it. And I don't feel bad for anyone who goes, oh, man, I really needed that. Then you should have put the cubes down to scare everyone away to make sure you've got that action. I mean, some actions can be imperative, but this game is really smart. It's a lot of fun. It only goes 3 rounds. The first round, you score like just a handful of points, like under 10 points, maybe 5 points, 3 points. The second round, you're scoring maybe 10, 12. You're thinking, how am I going to go around this board? And then the third round, all of a sudden, you've just got everything just clicked. And you're moving around. Someone is always moving around the board, crossing 100 every time, sometimes 2 players. You're like, wow, how did that happen? How did you go to getting 3 to 5 points the first round to maybe having 20-something the second round, now to being able to loop around it? But it just has that kind of engine build where you just keep scoring more points each round. Oh, beautiful game. I wish they'd bring it back in print. All right, finally, number 151 is another game that dropped out of my top 100 this year. Oh, sucks. But Passing Through Petra. Oh, nice game. Really fun game. This one, Passing Through Petra is at my local Ollie's for like $12. I'm so mad. I did not pay $12 for the game. When I got this game, it's a wonderful game as you are getting merchants to pass through your shops to become shop owners, and then executing those shop owners for victory points to move around certain, depending on the color. You'll be moving around that track, and everyone's player board is different. I didn't realize that the first few times I started playing the game, but now I realize, like, oh, this is awesome. And how you do your actions is really cool because you have a guy who can go north, south, east, west. Whichever direction he goes, that is the action you take. There's only 4 actions you can take in the game. It's that simple. And because it's that simple, my gaming group did not. My gaming group fell apart. And this is kind of why it dropped. I mean, new games push out too, but this is going to be impossible to get to the table next year because they just gave up playing the game. They couldn't understand 4 simple moves. And 2 of them are very simpler. It's get 1 or 2 merchants. Those are 2 of the moves there is getting merchants. A third one is just cashing them in, and then the 4th one's getting a bonus card. There's not like they're hard actions either, but they're just super easy actions. But for some reason they're like, so what? Okay, what's this do? They were not into that game for some reason. It's sad because this obviously if it's at Ollie's, extra copies are at Ollie's, then that means no one was interested in the game. And I'm really just surprised because I really think this is an awesome game. And I hope I can still get some interest in it. But we only played it that one time, and we did not bring it back. They're not going to play that game with me. So I got to find a new crew who will play this with me, which is probably one of the big reasons it dropped to the top 100. But still in my collection, staying in my collection too, because I love the game. That's all that matters. This is my top 200, right? Hey, folks, you want to know what my top 150 is? Well, you're going to have to come back next time. See you then.